It was a moonless night, the kind that sends shivers down your spine. I was Officer James Thompson, and my partner, Officer Emily Williams, and I were on a late-night patrol in the deserted neighborhood of Blackwood Road, a place notorious for eerie stories and unexplained occurrences. As we cruised through the shadowy streets, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Emily, who was always fearless, brushed off the neighborhood's reputation with a laugh. "Ghost stories, James. Don't let them get to you," she said, trying to lighten the mood. We received a call about a suspicious noise near an abandoned mansion at the end of Blackwood Road. The mansion was an imposing, decaying structure that stood like a specter, overlooking the neighborhood with empty, soulless eyes. We parked our cruiser in front of the mansion and exchanged cautious glances. "Do you really think there's something out there?" I asked Emily. "Probably just kids messing around," she replied, her voice unwavering. We stepped out of the car and approached the mansion, our flashlights cutting through the darkness. The air felt thick, as if the house held secrets of the past that it was unwilling to share. As we made our way to the front door, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, but I dismissed it as my imagination playing tricks on me. The front door creaked open and we cautiously stepped inside. The air was stale, filled with the scent of decay and abandonment. We navigated through the dimly lit rooms, our footsteps echoing eerily in the silence. Suddenly a loud crash echoed through the house, and we both jumped, our hearts racing. "Did you hear that?" Emily whispered. "Yeah," I replied, trying to steady my breathing. "Let's check it out." We followed the sound to the upper floor. The wooden stairs groaned under our weight, as if protesting our intrusion. As we reached the top, we found ourselves in a long hallway. The flickering light from our flashlights danced on the walls, casting strange shadows. There, at the end of the hallway, stood a figure, a woman in a tattered, blood-stained dress. My heart pounded in my chest as I fumbled for my radio, calling for backup. "Emily, do you see that?" I asked, my voice trembling. She glanced in the direction I was pointing but saw nothing. "James, there's nothing there, you're just spooking yourself." I blinked and the apparition was gone. "You're right. Must have been my mind playing tricks on me," I said, trying to shake off the fear. As we continued down the hallway, we heard strange noises coming from one of the rooms. Emily pushed the door open, revealing an old nursery. Broken toys lay scattered on the floor, and an unsettling aura filled the room. That's when we heard the faint sound of a lullaby. It was soft and haunting, seemingly coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. We exchanged bewildered glances before following the song to its source. In the corner of the room, a child's rocking chair moved back and forth on its own. We stood there, frozen, as the lullaby grew louder. The air became colder, and the room seemed to close in on us. "Let's get out of here," Emily said, her voice shaky. Agreeing, we turned to leave, only to find the door had slammed shut. Panic gripped my heart as I tried to open it, but it wouldn't budge. The lullaby intensified and the room felt like it was closing in on us. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw the figure of a little girl standing in the doorway. Her eyes were hollow and filled with sorrow. She reached out her hand and the door swung open with a deafening creak. Without hesitation, we bolted down the hallway and down the stairs, not looking back until we were safely outside the mansion. As we caught our breath, we saw a flickering light in one of the mansion's windows, the same room where we heard the lullaby. "We need to get out of here," Emily said, her voice urgent. We hurried back to our cruiser and drove away from Blackwood Road, leaving behind the mansion and the ghostly presence that haunted it. As we sped through the deserted streets, I couldn't help but wonder what we had encountered that night. A restless spirit, a figment of our imagination, or something far more sinister. One thing was certain: the haunting of Blackwood Road would stay with us forever, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left unsolved, and some places are better left untouched by the living. I am Officer Jack Collins, a skeptical cop who never believed in ghost stories. But that all changed on a cold and moonless night when I was assigned to patrol the abandoned police station in the small town of Willow Creek. The chilling legend of a ghostly specter haunting the station had always been dismissed as mere superstition. But little did I know that the terrifying truth awaited me that night. As I stepped through the rusted gates of the deserted station, An eerie sensation crawled up my spine. The building's decayed walls seemed to whisper secrets of the past, and the draft sent a shiver down my back. I brushed it off as the effects of an overactive imagination and proceeded with my flashlight in hand. The hallways were dimly lit, and strange shadows played tricks on my mind. I tried to convince myself that it was just my nerves getting the best of me. As I made my way through the silent corridors, a sudden gust of icy wind extinguished my flashlight. Panic washed over me as I fumbled to relight it. Then I heard it, a faint whisper echoing through the hallway. My heart pounded in my chest as I called out, "Who's there? Show yourself!" Silence followed, but the sensation of being watched intensified. I pressed forward, my curiosity and fear driving me to uncover the source of the mysterious sounds. The chilling glow of a flickering light guided me to an old cell block. There, at the end of the hallway, stood a figure, partially obscured by shadows. "Hey, police, stop right there," I commanded, trying to keep my voice steady. The figure turned, revealing a pale face and hollow eyes that seemed to penetrate my very soul. I couldn't believe my eyes, but there it was, a transparent, ghostly apparition before me. In a hauntingly mournful voice, the spirit whispered, "Leave this place, you are not welcome here." I took a step back, trying to comprehend the unimaginable. "Who are you? What do you want?" The ghostly figure remained silent, but its presence grew more intense. My flashlight flickered once more and darkness enveloped me. The weight of the past bore down on my shoulders, making it hard to breathe. As I desperately tried to escape the sinister presence, the walls seemed to close in around me. Whispers filled the air, recounting tales of despair and tragedy that had befallen the station in years past. In a last-ditch effort to escape, I ran toward the exit, but the heavy metal door slammed shut before me, sealing me inside. Panic surged through me as I pounded on the door, calling for help. That's when I noticed old case files scattered on the floor. My curiosity overpowered my fear, and I picked one up. The file contained details of a long-forgotten case, the unsolved disappearance of a young girl named Lily Andrews. As I read, the ghostly laughter echoed once more, and a chilling voice whispered, "Find her. Find Lily." Determined to unravel the mystery and appease the restless spirit, I delved into the old records, piecing together clues that had long been forgotten. As the night wore on, I uncovered the truth. A crooked cop had been involved in Lily's disappearance, and the evidence had been buried to protect the guilty. With newfound resolve, I confronted the malevolent presence. "I will find Lily and bring her justice. Your torment will end." The ghostly figure wavered, its sorrowful eyes reflecting gratitude. A sudden burst of light filled the room, illuminating the station. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and a profound sense of relief washed over me. As I stepped outside, the sun began to rise, casting a golden glow over the town. I realized that the ghostly specter of the abandoned police station had found peace, its tormented spirit finally put to rest. From that day on, I carried a newfound respect for the supernatural. The haunting of Willow Creek would forever be etched in my memory, a reminder that not all mysteries could be explained away, and sometimes confronting the unknown was the only path to redemption. I am Officer Emily Parker, a rookie cop with a sense of determination and a belief in the logical explanations behind every event. But one harrowing night, that belief would be put to the ultimate test as I found myself patrolling the eerie grounds of an old cemetery. It was an unusually dark night, the moon obscured by a thick blanket of clouds. As I stepped into the graveyard, an eerie silence enveloped me, and a chill crept through my bones. The rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl were the only sounds that broke the silence. "Piece of cake," I whispered to myself, trying to steady my nerves. As I walked among the tombstones, the names of the departed seemed to whisper their stories to me. It was a place of solemn tranquility, or so I thought. But then a flickering light in the distance caught my attention. Curiosity getting the best of me, I followed the faint glow until I reached an old mausoleum. The door was slightly ajar, swaying gently in the cold breeze. I felt an inexplicable urge to investigate, to ensure that no vandals or intruders had breached the sacred space. Cautiously, I pushed open the creaking door and entered the darkened interior. The air was heavy and laden with an otherworldly aura. I switched on my flashlight, the beam cutting through the shadows. My heart raced, and I chalked it up to the eerie ambiance. As I explored the interior, I heard faint footsteps echoing around me. I called out, "Police! Is anyone here?" but received no response. My logical mind attributed the sounds to an animal or my imagination playing tricks on me. But then, I saw it. A faint ghostly figure standing near a sepulchre. I rubbed my eyes, convinced it was a trick of the light. But the figure remained, its form wavering like smoke. My skepticism crumbled, and fear began to grip me. "This can't be real," I muttered to myself, but the apparition persisted. As I approached, the figure turned toward me. Its face, pale and sorrowful, sent shivers down my spine. I couldn't comprehend what I was witnessing, and my heart pounded in my chest. "Who are you?" I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure extended an ethereal hand towards me, and I felt a cold breeze brush against my skin. A haunting voice echoed in the chamber. "I am Amelia, Amelia Dawson." Stunned, I listened as the ghostly apparition recounted her tragic tale. Amelia had been a young woman who had fallen victim to a brutal crime many years ago. Her killer was never found, and her spirit remained trapped in the cemetery, seeking justice and closure. Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized the injustice that had befallen Amelia. I vowed to find her killer, to bring him to justice, and to help her find peace. As I left the mausoleum, the cemetery seemed different, the once somber atmosphere now tinged with an air of hope. I pored over old case files and evidence, determined to find any leads that had been overlooked. Hours turned into days, but I refused to give up. And then a breakthrough. A long-forgotten piece of evidence led me to the identity of Amelia's killer. With the new evidence in hand, I confronted the man who had taken her life. As I arrested him, he confessed to his heinous crime, his face twisted with remorse. I could see the weight of his guilt, and I knew that justice would finally be served. With the killer behind bars, I returned to the cemetery one last time. The mausoleum stood there, a testament to Amelia's tragic fate. As I stepped inside, the ghostly figure appeared once more, but this time, there was a glimmer of peace in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice echoing with gratitude. "You can rest now, Amelia. Your killer has been brought to justice," I said softly. With a gentle smile, Amelia's spirit faded away, finally finding the peace she had been denied for so long. From that night on, I no longer saw the cemetery as a place of fear and unease. Instead, it became a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit and the duty of a police officer to seek justice for the forgotten souls. And so, I continued my career as a police officer, forever changed by that haunting encounter in the cemetery. It taught me that sometimes the unexplained and supernatural could lead us to uncover the most profound truths and find closure for those who had been lost in the shadows of the forgotten. I'll never forget that fateful night in the heart of the dense forest, where shadows danced under the moon's eerie glow. My name is Officer Jake Reynolds, and I had been patrolling these haunting woods for years. The locals told tales of lost souls, but I dismissed them as mere folklore. Little did I know, my skepticism would soon be shattered. As I ventured deeper into the forest that night, an inexplicable chill crawled down my spine. The rustling leaves whispered secrets, and the distant hoot of an owl echoed like a forewarning. Still, I pressed on, driven by my duty to protect and serve. Suddenly, my radio crackled to life, startling me. A frantic voice pleaded for help, claiming they were lost. I recognized the voice as Sarah, a young woman who had gone missing weeks ago. Goosebumps rose on my skin, for this forest had swallowed countless souls, and I feared Sarah had become its latest victim. Ignoring protocol, I followed the radio signal, leading me deeper into the heart of darkness. My flashlight trembled in my grasp as I navigated through twisted trees and tangled vines. The forest seemed to come alive, closing in around me, as if trying to protect its sinister secrets. That's when I saw her. A flicker of movement between the trees. "Sarah!" I called out, but there was no response. Her figure darted further into the forest, and I chased after her, my heart pounding in my chest. The branches clawed at me as if to prevent me from reaching her. Time lost its meaning as I stumbled forward, driven by an inexplicable force. Finally, I found myself in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. There, standing before me, was Sarah, her eyes hollow and her face pallid. "Sarah, we've been looking for you," I gasped, reaching out to touch her shoulder. But my hand passed right through her. She was a ghost, a mere semblance of the vibrant woman she once was. "I can't leave this place," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. "The forest won't let me go." In that moment I understood. The forest was alive with vengeful spirits forever trapped in its grasp. It hungered for more souls, its insatiable thirst fueling its malevolence. Sarah was just one of many, ensnared by the wood's wicked spell. Suddenly the wind picked up, and a haunting chorus of whispers filled the air. The spirits encircled me, their mournful cries sending shivers down my spine. I knew I had to escape, to break free from the forest's hold. With all my strength I turned and ran, the forest seemingly resisting my departure. The spirits' wails echoed in my ears, but I pressed on, desperate to flee the clutches of the malevolent woods. I emerged from the forest gasping for breath, my heart still pounding. From that day on I knew the stories were true. The forest was haunted by vengeful souls, forever seeking solace and ensnaring the unsuspecting. Now, as an officer, I warn anyone who dares enter those woods. Beware the forest watcher, the ghostly guardian of the cursed forest. It will lure you in, never to let you leave. And if you hear its mournful whispers, flee for your life, for you may become the next lost soul trapped in its eternal torment.